Have you seen this? Military oppressors sent by a decadent empire, itself in decline, led by a mad narcissistic ruler, are repelled by locals who band together to protect their community.
Welcome to Have You Seen This?
The world's only podcast about obscure, overlooked, and misbegotten media.
All discussions will be spoiler heavy.
You have been warned.
This show would not be possible without the support of our patrons. If you would like to support our show, join us at patreon.com/haveyouseenthis. Patrons get the show a week early, and $5 supporters also get access to our Discord. Or you can tip us at our Ko-fi. Visit the link in the show notes.
Am I telling the story accurately for Boudica, the legend of?
You're recapping the movie accurately, but is the movie recapping history accurately? Those are different questions, I think.
Ah, a better question. Jen, who do we have on again, returning to explain history to us?
Tonight, triumphantly returning.
Successfully returning, like the Romans to England.
Yeah.
It is. We have our history friend here with you today. It is Gaius of the very, very good Tribunate YouTube channel. Gaius, welcome back.
Good to be here. Good to be back. Does a repeat invitation qualify me as friend of the show officially?
Yes.
Of course.
All right.
We always appreciate people who are smarter than we are.
We need them. I mean, we muddle through in our own way, but still.
Yeah. And we appreciate you coming here to be our crutch because we're talking about a historical epic. And I did feel as though it probably took some liberties with history, but Gaius is here to tell us just exactly how, to the best of current human knowledge.
I'm something of a history buff myself. I watched the entirety of the UK kids show Horrible Histories, and that's how I came to know about Boudica. My some knowledge about this historical figure, this warrior queen Boudica, is from a kids show. So, guys, you're going to have to fill in a little more than that.
I mean, watching that whole show is basically like getting a master's, so...
Well, it wouldn't surprise me if that's what the writer/director of this, where he got his information from, because it's it takes some liberties, we could say that, but I don't know. Maybe we want to talk about how it kind of fails as a film first, and then I can talk about how it fails historically later. I don't know what order y'all want to go in.
Well, I do have a simple thesis about that I can elucidate, but maybe we want to do the history up front because I'm certainly interested. As Tim mentioned, this is the film Boudica, Queen of War from 2023, and probably the first question that I should ask is, who was Boudica?
The Queen of War, duh.
Oh, right. Yeah, I should be more observant, but thank you.
Boudica was the queen of a tribe in Roman Britain called the Iceni, and she was queen at a very interesting time, basically like a generation after Britain had been conquered, or at least, the southern part of Britain. They never made it all the way up through to Scotland. They were still subduing Wales at the time that this movie takes place, at the time of Boudica and her story and her revolt. So she's queen from about, I believe it's this takes place in around the year 60, and it would have been in the 40s that the Romans formally annexed Britain. So it's the story is really about her husband, who is trying to find his way as a collaborator basically with the Romans, but also, attempting to carve out a little bit of autonomy. And I think that's an accurate portrayal of what things would have looked like on the ground. Rome would have used a light hand in that first generation after formal annexation, but for somebody who used to be a king and was not used to taking orders, and for people that had been, independent up until then, even a light touch, so to speak, is going to feel, quite heavy.
Yeah, the Romans were not known for their light touch. In fact, looking at the historical record, one might be inclined even to say that they are dicks, and they certainly are here.
I think that's a fair assessment, and that's actually something I enjoyed about this movie more than Centurion, the last one we watched, is that it doesn't pull punches in that regard. the Romans are bad. Like there's no there's no gray areas. It's not like they're there to bring civilization or culture or anything like that. No, they're invading foreign dickheads in a country they don't belong in, and they're just, looting, pillaging, raping to their heart's content. And the best that the British people can do until Boudica, organizes them into a revolt is, suck it up and take
Dicks.
That is ironic too. That like the Romans too are sort of projecting this air of like civility, but they're just ruthless against anyone who stands against them. It's like, well, which side of this are you really on?
Right. And I think what makes Boudica's story interesting, and we can get into this, and this is something I think the movie actually portrayed well, is that she was kind of backed into this corner. She did not intend to, she wasn't a freedom fighter from the beginning. It was that she was pushed too far, and what happens in the movie where she is flogged and abused, and her daughters are raped in history. That fortunately is not depicted in the movie, but they
Thank
are
God.
flogged alongside of her. But that all happened publicly, and it was a very clearly designed to humiliate and break her as a leader and delegitimize her in the eyes of her people. But it has the opposite effect of, what after you've done that to somebody, there's no coming back to the bargaining table. And, they had pissed off enough people on the island to kickstart the revolt. And it was really their own fault because, you can push people only so far, right?
Yep. That's usually how occupations tend to go. For some reason, people usually have a problem with someone else coming into their country and being like, okay, like this is ours now. You're just going to have to deal.
Yeah, I just see it more in the light of what's going on in. Let me check my hand. Minnesota.
Yeah, it's timely.
I mean, that's, I guess, when the trad guys try to be like, I am a modern Roman legionary, it's like, well, yeah, I guess, in some ways.
I do what I want. I rape who I want. I take everything for me.
Yeah, I kill with impunity. Yeah, like, I mean,
Right.
you got that part down, I guess.
Yeah, maybe we need to clarify what that really entails.
Yeah, and I think a major part of, like, as you mentioned, Gaius, this is a movie that is firmly on the side of the native Britons. And unlike Centurion, another incredibly mid film that we discussed on your last appearance on the show, there's no Michael Fassbender kind of putting like a dashing and heroic face on the Roman occupation. We get there's in this you get like a twink emperor who's like right out of a Derek Jarman film.
Yeah.
You get that one Roman who's basically just like he's just like
decadent
a
ones.
guy that if you go to watch football matches at the pub, like you'll meet this guy, and you don't enjoy meeting this guy because he's completely British, which is very funny. And I know it's a limitation of I don't know. I mean, I don't think this
Like
was
the language of film and tropes, because it's like, yeah, why are the locals should be talking like Britons and the Romans should be talking like Italians. But
exactly. Yeah, you cut very cleanly to the core of what I wanted to say. Like and I'll say this: the actor who plays Catus is Catus Deliciosa or whatever his name is. I forget.
Decianus.
Thank you. See, that's why you're here. Like we need the assist. He's very good at just being a complete asshole, but he does it in like a really British way because it's a British actor and he's supposed to be there to like subjugate.
Yes.
And I'm guessing that there was
like if he had just gotten off the set of filming another movie set in like 1849 where he was doing this in India, I would have believed it. Like just literally the lines could have been almost one-to-one the exact same and the performance would have been the same.
Right.
Yeah, or a Guy Ritchie movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, so it is sort of funny to see British people subjugating early Britons, but hey, it's a movie. And as it is, Boudica is played by a Ukrainian actress who currently holds French citizenship. So, what can you do?
I don't really know
Yeah.
where you're going with that. Yeah. So the tough thing is like for me is I only know like the broad strokes of the Boudica story, and I feel like the movie is kind of in the same position. It should be like a slam dunk, and is it's like it is a warrior queen who is pushed too far, who repelled the Romans, who ultimately has a tragic downfall. But whatever it is that's appealing about that story still manages to elude me even from this or great art like the children's show Horrible Histories. I feel like there's just something that like people audiences, myself in particular, aren't able to like grasp onto about what makes a story so interesting. And maybe Gaius, you know what that is, or maybe just there isn't something.
Yeah, I think you're right that this could have been good. Like I think like there is a this is a cool story. This is a very interesting like moment in history, right? So, and let's, I don't know if wokeness is dead or back or if it's in that liminal state right now, but like, a warrior woman queen, like that's cool. Like people would like that, I think. But yeah, I think this suffered from the fact that the budget was non-existent and they were going too hard into like just dad slop. I don't know if that's like a a genre of movie or not, but like
No,
It is now.
that's really accurate.
okay.
It's like because when I was watching this, the thought I had was just, man, this is like some like piece of shit that I would like watch with my dad, and we'd both be like, God rest his soul, and we'd both be like, oh man, that wasn't very good, but it like held our attention for an hour and 30 minutes.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of like every Gerard Butler movie.
Yes, yeah. Why was he not in this? Like, there must have been a scheduling
Yeah.
conflict because he was made to be her like her beau, like the guy that like will they won't they, after her husband dies.
Mhm.
That should have been Gerard Butler.
Yeah, the Wolfgar role.
Wolfgar. Uh,
Yeah.
but yes, the I think there was potential there, but I think it was just lowest common denominator all the way through. And I think I was super worried at the beginning because it opens with that scene of the druids getting massacred, and it's like super
Right.
super bloody, to
Yeah.
the point of like gratuitousness. And I'm like, anytime a movie does that, I'm like, oh, you're worried I'm gonna tune out unless like there's like blood or tits, right? Like if I
Yeah.
don't see one of those
Mm-hmm.
in the next 5 seconds, because this is dad slop. So if I don't see one of those in the next 5 seconds, I'm changing the channel, right? So anytime a movie like
Yeah.
leans too heavily into like doing those gratuitously, I'm like, oh, this sucks too, right? So it's like I was cued off like right from the jump when they like are executing those people, and it's like, okay, that's the eighth jugular you've cut that is sprayed like on the
Yeah.
camera,
Yeah. Just
right?
like
Like
gallons of blood.
yeah, it's like
Yeah.
I
It's just,
get it. Like executing people is probably not pretty, and it might have looked like that even, but like I don't need to see you do it 17 times. And it's like, oh, it's a woman now. Now it's a kid. Great, great, great. You know?
right. Yeah, it's like we don't have the deftness in the character portrayals or the screenwriting to get you engaged with the story, so it's just shock you instead.
Yeah, and like to the point of when they immediately after that, the next scene is like you said, the Twink Emperor, which was supposed to be Nero, but I couldn't buy that because
Mm-hmm.
like Nero, very bisexual, but like certainly not looking like that. He was one of the most grotesque. Like Google his face right now. Like there's modern reconstructions of like what his face would have looked like, and he's the most like Reddit incel like looking guy you've ever seen. Not like this like
Well, no
really
wonder he was so mad about his mom.
yeah. Oh, he was. They got that part right, at least that he would have hated his mom. But like, so like I was so worried like when it was that scene like immediately following the gruesome executions. I was like, oh, like it's I'm circling the wet. They're like it's circling the drain already. But
Yeah.
I think there was potential there, and like I liked moments of it. I think that they handled some things actually like pretty well, in terms of like just creating a vibe, so to speak, like just
Mm-hmm.
the costumes and the way that you're drawn into like the character study of like how does someone cope with occupation, right? Everyone kind of either resists it or acquiesces to it in different ways, and I thought that with her husband, with her, with the merchants she's like seeing, the tribes people around her, and then the Judas character, like the guy who ends up betraying her husband, like, you know, all
Mm-hmm.
kind of encapsulating different ways to live under an occupation. I thought that was well done, but like then it kind of goes off the rails.
Yeah. I'll give the movie this. And you mentioned earlier that it's the kind of movie where it's like, oh, like you better give the audience gore or boobs, or else they're just gonna they're gonna back out and switch to the next thing in their my stuff list that they have on the streaming platform. In this one, they don't go the boobs route, because I feel that there was a definite effort to not sexualize
Mm-hmm.
Boudica at all. It's like, well, this is a queen who becomes a warrior, and we don't have her here to, just to present for the visual delectation of the audience, even though the actress is indeed quite attractive when she's not smeared with mud and
Well, it is funny that they ended
wearing
up doing that anyway, but instead, like that role fell to the king because he's kind of a minor character getting killed off in the first third. Because after we see like everyone massacred, and after we meet a guy who's supposed to be Nero, hat tip or tip of the laurels, regent. So like after that, we see Boudica with her like idyllic home life with like her loving husband and her two kids, but like her husband, the king, is like randy as hell. He's like
Yeah,
all
I
over
thought
her.
I thought that was exactly what I thought. I was like, you could okay. Here's
How
the
do they
vibe I
only
got
have
from
two
that.
kids? That's my question.
Yes. Okay. Here's the vibe I got from that. I was like, I could tell this was written by like only a man or a group of men because like they're clearly trying to say like, oh, she's got a great life and her husband loves her, but the
Mhm.
husband's only way of expressing that he loves her is like, baby, do you want to fuck? Like as fuck. Like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
there
right.
was no like secondary thing of like, oh, I bought you this thing and like I saw you looking at this, so I built you a new room for our shed or like or
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
like obviously I
I
don't know
got your
what
new
the
70s kitchen.
yeah like
I got you another servant to help around
oh
the
my god
the
can I
hut.
bitch about that for a second because like that was one of the
Yeah,
Please
go
things
for
that
it.
do.
made me upset was when it was like it's like tell your slave to be they're in the markets, tell your slave to be quiet. She's like, oh, that's not a slave, she's a servant, we pay her. It's like, okay, like that's nice and all that, but like come on, like that's not happening.
That feels
It's
more like a sop to the modern
oh, for
audience, if
sure.
I'm
Because they want you to root
guessing.
for her and like her to not be that kind of person. But like in that day and age, she would have been. So like, let's just at least have her treating her slaves nicely.
Yeah, in the first
You know,
century, we weren't
like,
that woke.
yeah, exactly. Because it's like, it reminds me of this. They do the same thing in The Patriot, the Mel Gibson movie,
Hmm.
where he's in the Revolutionary War, woke Mel Gibson. But like,
Wait,
he,
which side is he on? I forget.
but like there's this thing where the British come to his plantation and he's like, we're gonna take your slaves, and then the slaves speak up, or the African Americans who are working there are like, actually we're not slaves, we are paid labor. And then the British guy's like, well, you're my slaves
Hmm.
now, and he just takes them. And it's like, okay, like yeah, Mel Gibson, the guy in Charleston, South Carolina in 1776 is more woke than
Yeah.
2026 Mel Gibson.
We're an autonomous collective.
Like yeah yeah, that would have been great. Like I'm all for it. Like slavery very bad and should have been gone a lot sooner than it was. But it's
You
like
heard
we
it
don't
here
have to
first.
pretend. Well, yeah, we don't have to pretend
Mel
that people back then would have shared that idea.
Right, yeah.
Mel yeah, because I feel like the woke people at the time would have been abolitionists. Um so yeah, and I don't think that that's what Mel Gibson is necessarily going to portray. So, hey. But you are correct about this movie being written by a male presenting person. This happens to be the work of a guy named, I want to make sure I get his name right because I looked up the wrong guy earlier. This was made by a guy called Jesse V. Johnson, who I think first made his career as a stunt guy, like a stunt coordinator. And he has transitioned quite successfully into directing, well, let's take Guy's term, dad slop.
Right.
Movies that kind of aren't that distinguishable from everything else on the platform, maybe. One of the things that I found, what was I talking, there was that thing I said in the Discord earlier, I forget, because one of our number one super fans was helping us with information
With
about
the geezer teaser thing.
Jesse V. Johnson. Right, like those, that, and, that's another brand of dad slop, I guess, is movies with...
like one name actor who, to paraphrase...
elderly.
Yeah. One elderly named actor who, to paraphrase one of our listeners in the Discord, is in like the first and last 10 minutes of the movie.
Oh, I love it. It's just so they can put him on the poster, right?
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this has got John Malkovich in it.
Basically what Bruce Willis was doing for like the last 5 years, 10 years of his career.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, before somebody called Adult Protective Services.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, like... the casting was like, no, he's not a slave. He's being paid for his work in these movies.
Did you look up Jesse V. Johnson's most recent credit? Because I did.
Ooh,
you're gonna love this.
What is it?
He is doing the Pendragon Cycle streaming on Daily Wire Plus.
Oh no!
There's a Daily Wire streaming service. I don't know.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. I guess.
Ooh, Jesse, get paid up front for that one.
I guess the Chick-fil-A streaming service passed, but he went to the Daily Wire streaming service. But yeah, I was when I saw that I was like, ooh, because like this doesn't scan as conservative in any way. Like, I mean, I get it valorizes war and whatever, and maybe there's a British
against oppression or whatever.
Yeah, but like I don't think those are exclusively conservative values, and so I nothing about it scanned conservative to me upon like after I learned that. So maybe he's just getting the paycheck, or maybe he's doing some sabotage from the inside, in which case critical support. But like I'm shocked that yeah. I was shocked to see him doing a show for the Daily Wire's streaming service.
Well, I have one thing to say to that.
Everybody needs money. That's why they call it money.
Every time.
Did that even come through?
Yeah, barely.
Yes. Okay, good. Okay. Because I haven't had a chance to use that since our heist episode. But anyway, well, it's funny that you say that about like, whether or not the movie has a conservative bent or not, because my read on it after having watched the entire thing is that it ends up actually being like, and I don't think this was intentional. I really think it's just like, people like not like reflecting on the work that they've made. It ends up actually being like kind of sexist in weird ways, because like, yes, this is Boudica's movie, and like, yes, she is like the warrior queen of the title, and she does get to like run around with a sword and kill people, like, very admirable masculine qualities, and we all know that a woman is best when she is emulating a man.
Right.
But the other thing,
the only good way, Jen, I keep telling you.
Right. That's why I podcast. The most masculine art form. But the way that Boudica's character is set up, which I sort of understand why they do this, because she is kind of thrust into this role as leader of a like an insurgency. So yeah, it's not the kind of thing that you're like necessarily schooled for or groomed for. So yeah, she's kind of thrown in at the deep end, and she's given a sword, and someone has to teach her like how to use it. Even though, oh god, we need to talk about the magical sword, but
the magic sword. Let's not forget.
right, she's a Jedi basically. But the way that for most of the movie, Boudica needs to be led by more competent men.
Or just people in general, because she's like approached by one of these like kind of warrior women who's like,
Right.
you must be our leader, it's been foretold, like you're gonna be the one. And she's like, I don't know about that. But she just kind of gets like press ganged into this. Just everyone else who like is already there doing the work is like, no, you're gonna be our leader. And she's like, are you sure about that?
Right. And even when she makes bold decisions, she's kind of fucking it up because and God, I only watched the movie once, so like forgive me, dear audience. I didn't know if I would have been able to stomach this twice in a row. Once they decide that they're going to resist the Romans, she's like put on her goth makeup and she started acting all fucking crazy like women do like once a month for 6 or 7 days. She says, oh, we're going to go like attack the Romans right the fuck now or something to that effect. And then her second in command, I guess, Wolfgar, who's one of the mud covered bog people that rallies to her standard.
I mentally I was calling him like Timu Guy Pearce.
Yeah.
That
yeah,
works,
yeah. And, I don't want to diminish the actor whose name is, I really want to credit the guy because he's actually pretty good. Peter Frenzen.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not familiar, but he does quality work in this some historical schlock. So he tells her like, hey, like that's a really bad idea. Like the Romans will overwhelm us, and there are just all these reasons why it's like not good. And she's just like, rah, I don't care, like let's go fucking kill Romans because I'm crazy. Is a woman acting decisively is like kind of shown as like, well, she's gonna fuck this up, but we gotta let her do it because the mystical queen and all. Like
we said that she's our leader, but we don't get to decide what she says, which is weird because it seems like everyone up until this point has been making decisions for her. Even after like
yes,
her husband is killed, her family's killed, she's whipped and branded and caged, and then it's like the rebellious Britons who like break and slaughter the Roman soldiers and rescue her.
Yes,
it's like, well, what is Boudica bringing to this exactly?
That's exactly right. Like for the most part, except when she's like going like berserker on people and like cutting their heads off or whatever, she's strangely passive, and she has to like kind of like float along on this cushion of like people helping her, which is like a weird way to write the warrior woman of the title. And again, like, and I understand why. I don't know a lot about the culture of Roman Britain in the year 60 something, the 60s,
the swinging 60s.
There's just the 60s, yeah.
Yeah.
Tim, is that another $10 in the jar?
Definitely.
I don't know much about the culture, but I feel like, hey, maybe some people would have condescended to her if, like, hey, little lady, like, let's, not so fast on this being a warrior and having a sword stuff.
Well,
but she's treated, like, really condescendingly by Wolfgar. She has to do, like, mystical shit to impress him. Like, she's very passive, and, like, there are these, it's always outside forces kind of helping her along. And I don't know if the people who made this like quite realize that, if it's kind of like a a notion of gender that's so ingrained that they don't even think about it. Like, well, yeah, it's just the way women are when they're passively acted upon by outside forces. How else am I going to write her?
Yeah, because I guess the rationale for how that works and why they're all following her in the movie is that she's like a conduit to the divine. She's like been predestined by the gods to come and save them and deliver them. And then she even performs, I think, 2 miracles in the like right in front of people, which we never get any clarity on of like, okay, was that a magic trick that she did on purpose, or did people misinterpret that, or is she actually powerful? Like, they just happen. And I was kind of like, okay, do we get it? Like, it was very strange to have a movie that is so otherwise grounded in the sense of like nobody else is displaying mystical powers. Zeus doesn't come down and talk to anybody, right? Like,
Right.
So to be otherwise grounded, but to have one character, I guess 2 times do something that is just straight up magic is like, well, you do need to kind of explain where that's coming from or how that's working. I felt like, but yeah, like I think that even going more in that vein, she doesn't even make her own decisions. She prays and like talks to the spirits of her deceased daughters,
Yes.
and they tell her what to do. So she never really makes a decision. And like the movie doesn't tell us, oh, she's crazy, they're not real, or like, no, she is actually like in touch with, her daughters in the next life. Like they don't even present that in a way to make you question it. Cause I would be fine with ambiguity if it was at least if contradictory evidence was presented one way or the other. Right. But they just show it happening. And then you're just like, okay. And right.
Yeah. Cause so much of the movie is like really flat in that way you're describing, because even when like she meets, Wolfgar, he kind of like is dismissive of her, throws her, magic sword in the lake and is like, you ain't shit. And then like she does something or other, like she shows off with it. And then all of a sudden, like, everyone is swayed by her, preternatural abilities. But I'm like, did I miss a spot? Because I mean,
yeah.
I also was having a really tough time paying attention in this movie, and not just because I think like it was mixed too low, because I had to turn on subtitles for this. Like usually I don't have to.
I did too.
Yeah, because like I can't. I just like everyone is just like talking into their chest, and everyone's speaking so lowly, and then they just like crank the gain on it. But I'm like, you aren't enunciating. I can't understand what you're saying.
Yeah, I was. It could have been like a French movie for all I knew. Like they
right. Yeah,
like the subtitles were on the entire time.
Yeah.
So,
see, I didn't notice that because I am developmentally disabled, so I always have subtitles
Right.
on for movies.
Yeah.
And I in fact get very angry when there's no closed captioning, and very, very ableist.
Well, yeah. I mean,
but
but you know me, like I like to tough it out, and I'm like, this. I'm gonna watch this movie the way the filmmakers intended. No matter how like awful an experience it is. So yeah, to have to like throw in the
that's
towel.
very masculine of you.
Well,
Tim.
I take after Boudica.
Jesse V. Johnson meant for you to watch this on Daily Wire Plus.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Oh God.
Between ads for like
can I at least get a 7-day free
subscribe?
trial?
Go subscribe to that so you can view it as the filmmaker intended.
Ugh.
Well, the big question then, of course, is what did Ben Shapiro think of this movie?
Oh, yeah, great question. I mean, a girl doing things is woke by definition.
Right. Yeah, can't have that.
But
they didn't recast anyone, so there's nothing for them to get mad about.
Yeah, there's no people of color in the movie, so
right.
Probably like that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so he would at least like sit down to like watch 10 or 15 minutes of it.
Oh, and he would probably be like, "Wow, that's the best husband ever on film."
Yeah. Well, actually, he would be like, "Well, I think this was the best depiction of a husband on film because the gender roles are quite rigid and."
We'll throw some crumbs to the tradwives out there.
Yeah. And you'll notice at the end of the movie, once Boudica has discharged her heavenly duty by leading the revolt and then giving up, she is then returned in the afterlife to the role of wife and mother.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, just desserts.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
this isn't exactly Battle of Algiers.
Yeah, you were queen and general, but now you're just mommy. That's heaven,
Yeah.
right?
It's
Yeah, now go take care of the kids.
every mom and wife who went to college. Like, well, this is me now.
Because her damn husband won't get her another slave. I mean, servant.
Servant. Yeah, come on.
Yeah.
The other thing too, like that is unintentional about this just dog of a screenplay. Because yeah, like we've mentioned how Boudica is a really passive character. She's kind of like goaded into everything. People just assume that she's going to be their leader, so she's kind of like, okay, I guess I'll do that. She doesn't seem to make any decisions without first consulting with her with the spirits of her daughters. The only time that she does make like a decisive decision, which I guess is any decision. The only time that she's decisive is after like, and this is another part of where the screenwriting is so poorly told because she has a string of victories. Like they sack Camillus. They like take back London. They're just cutting swaths through Roman occupation across Britain. And then finally, Wolfgar's like, okay, well, it's winter. Everyone is beat. It's going to get cold, and we aren't going to have enough food. So we're going to like take a break and come back and start killing Romans in the summer. And she's like, no, we're going to keep going. And he's like, this is a bad idea. And if you keep going without properly rested soldiers and ignoring the advice of the people in this domain who are more experienced, you're going to lose. And she does, and they do. So
yeah, and they never give a good reason for why she's so gung ho, especially because like it's like even the Romans are sending in a new army and they're going to be better supplied, and her strategy in that battle is like, oh, they're the archers. Well, time to charge them. Like, and there's
surely
archers
this time
on
it'll work.
Yeah, there are archers on like a 45-degree embankment, and okay, let's go get them. Oh,
right.
Oh dear, we're all dead. Like she literally just charges into like the most perfect area to like ambush somebody, and like she sees it and is like, well, that's the spot.
Yeah, it's like like Civil War tactics and like or World War I tactics and World War II.
World War I.
Yeah, and the way that battle is staged too, it kind of gets back to the problem that we were talking about earlier about like there being so much gore, but it being just really to kind of egg on the audience because the rest of it isn't choreographed or staged in a way that's really compelling. Mm-hmm. There's a part where like Hrothgar commandeers a was it like a barbette, like a large like crossbow. And I'm like, wait, why is this important? Why is this significant? Because like the way that the whole scene is staged, like you don't really know what's at stake. You're as lost and useless as Boudica.
Yeah, like I agree with you there that every battle scene, and there were a handful of them, really suffered from the budgetary limitations, I'm just going to assume, because it was I never got the feeling that any of them was a high stakes scale battle, because all you ever saw was maybe at most 10 people on screen, 5 Romans and 5 Britons, fighting. But that would be like a 2-second shot. And then it'd be into like a one-on-one of one of her or one of her like close crew doing a one-on-one fight, killing their person, then pan to the next one. And there were, I think, 3 battles in quick succession where that's just this, they're all just choreographed the same. There was never an establishing shot of like, oh, here's 60,000 Britons versus 80,000 Romans. They outnumber us. Are we going to have to employ tactics to defeat them? Or there was never any of that. It was just like, okay, that's just run at those 10 guys. That's the Roman army.
Right. Yeah. We're lined up outside the town. Go attack the town. Okay, cool.
They didn't want to buy the plugin for the software that lets you like multiply your guys into like an
I mean, they were
army.
doing
It's
that.
like,
They
ooh,
were
that's
doing that
too
in,
steep.
like with computers for Star Wars, like Episode 1. Come on, that stuff's got to be
Right.
cheap now.
Yeah, there's got to
Yeah, I
be
don't
like
know,
a,
like
whatever, like the massive whatever plugin for After Effects.
Yeah, and I don't know about you
Yeah.
guys, but like I'm very forgiving on bad special effects. Like if the movie is good, I don't care how bad, as long as you know the filmmaker's putting effort in. Like
Right.
if it's consistent
Sure.
with like the vibe of the movie, if it wasn't clearly done as an afterthought, right? But like if it's at the same scale as the rest of the movie, I can forgive really bad special effects because it's like, okay, I know that there's no lava monster about to eat Jennifer Lopez, right? Like I know that that's not real, so I don't need to see a real.
That was a
lava
weird
monster.
digression in Boudica, though. I got to say.
Yeah, I mean, hey, that was they that's where all the budget went, was for the Jennifer Lopez lava monster fight.
The historical lava monster. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is funny as well, and I think I noticed this also with Centurion, which we discussed for Gaius's last appearance on the show. Now that movie came out in like, I forget, like 2009 or 2011, so like well before this film, which came out like a couple or 3 years ago, as of this recording. But I've noticed that action schlock appears to be of this kind of a character nowadays, where everything is like really heavily gimmicked. It's like, oh, we need to see people's throats getting slashed into gaping wounds. We need to see like heads rolling.
Yeah, we need to see like an actual
like-
decapitation with like, you know, their eyes rolling back, which kind of makes it
Yeah,
more like a
and-
horror movie, like in terms of like effects.
Well, yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's like there's been like this cross pollination with horror, and it's funny because I earlier this evening, because YouTube just like randomly served it up to me, I was watching Monty Python and the Holy Grail, a movie which has, for comedy reasons, like small bursts of extreme bloody
Yeah.
violence.
Those are
Which,
I love
you-
those. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, like I mean, you see, you know, the Black Knight gets like all of his limbs cut off,
dismembered,
like
yeah.
for comedy, and you know that like came out in, like early to mid 70s, and back then, like the genre division was like very rigid. I would say it's like, okay, like, you know, if you want extreme gore, you gotta go to like a horror movie or maybe an outrageous comedy that was not made in the United States.
Right. Even those didn't
and
come along
never
till,
the
like,
twain shall
the
meet.
Farrellys.
Right. Like back then, if you had, you know, I guess like if this had been made in the 70s, it would have been like, oh, like epic history. And it would have been so much more staid, and it certainly wouldn't have had like the extreme gore that a movie like this has in 2023, which again, I think is like intended as like a sop to dads. And I think kind of the sort of a granddaddy in this tradition is, of course, you know, speaking of Gerard Butler, 300.
Right. That's a very
'Cause,
stylized portrayal too.
Yeah, if nothing else, a movie with a certain flair to its visual style, because that is literally the only thing that particular director is good at. Yeah, so, and because all movies set, I don't know, like, if it's got like, I guess it's what they used to call peplum films back in the day, you know, like Hercules, ancient movies, or maybe it has a lot to do with Game of Thrones as well.
Variety, right?
Yes, like any movies of that type, it's like you gotta have outrageous gore, because that's just what people want. Like, and back then, life was nasty, brutish, and short. So you're gonna have to cut a guy's skull in half in a cool way.
Maybe it's
I wonder if it's because they can't have explosions, that they're like, you know,
Yeah.
oh, I can't show an oil tanker like blowing up, falling off a bridge and blowing up, and you know, Jackie Chan barely escaping. So But people did have blood
Good
back
point.
then. So
Yeah, very few air crashes in Boudica in 60
Yeah.
AD.
yeah.
Yeah, that was the problem. Boudica eventually was crushed by the Romans because she didn't have air support.
Right?
Yeah, she had no air support at all.
Yeah. God, isn't that just like a woman?
Rookie
Yeah.
mistake.
Always neglecting air support in the winter.
Yeah.
Broads.
I mean,
They just don't think tactically.
yeah, maybe it's my like bro-ish film education, but I feel like this trend was really brought to the forefront with Braveheart, just because I remember how like gritty
Yeah.
that movie was, even if it was a
Mhm.
ripoff of, was it Spartacus?
I think this movie wanted to be Braveheart. I like imagining the pitch
Yes.
meeting. I feel like they were like, "We're doing Braveheart, but with a girl," and they were like, "Okay, sure. Here's $12."
That's
Yeah, most of that's just going to go to parking. Well, it's brave, but then they just like make the heart with their hands, for ladies.
it's like a pair of ice skaters sitting in the kiss and cry after their routine, making little hearts with their hands.
Newly repelled
No, that's
Roman,
actually
you
a really good
guys.
That's a really good point. I forgot about Braveheart, and I think that, yeah,
Yeah, I
and,
couldn't stop thinking about Braveheart. Like, I felt like it would be cliche to mention it.
I mean, she and Mel Gibson basically had the same hairstyle,
Right, yeah.
and I think that is so accurate because I think that Mel Gibson specifically, as well as Zack Snyder, has contributed so much to this particular genre because Braveheart was so successful.
Yeah.
And I think it
It was
definitely
the Ben-Hur of its time.
it definitely showed that Mel had a flair for really grotesque violence that I think came to its apotheosis in The Passion of the Christ. And, I'm not even slamming the guy as a filmmaker because he actually makes like pretty good movies. He's just a crazy person in real life, like just a insane, allegedly an insane wife-beating bigot, is my understanding. Right. I am not saying.
Well,
this.
I mean,
I've
all that
heard this
time you
from
spent
other
hanging
people.
out with him, I think that you probably are qualified.
Well, he was great friends with my dad. They thought similarly.
They would watch Boudica and Lex
politically.
together. Just be like, oh, this sucks.
Get really offended.
Yeah.
Go like flagellate themselves. Oh wait, that was just
Right,
Mel.
yeah. But to Guys' earlier point about $12, like this movie, like it lacks whatever makes action movies exciting and biopics compelling. Best exemplified by once Boudica is finally like goaded into being a warrior queen, pushed into this role enough that they start doing shit. We're like, they raise Camillus. They have like the Battle of, I think, Cambridge Forest. They, sack London, all this. These pivotal battles, like this is supposed to be like the bulk of the movie. 5 minutes of gore. Like that is it.
Yeah.
Where like you get titles where it's like Camillus, Cambridge, London, and it's over in 5 minutes. And it's like, okay, yeah, you obviously didn't have the budget to do this, but this is kind of the crucial part of why this character is so significant.
Yeah, like from a filmmaking perspective, I would have maybe made the first two just, very quick, but then spent your money on London because people know what London is. Like it's not hard to establish like she's going to burn down London. Like that's going to get people's attention, right?
Yeah.
So maybe and then like actually orient that battle in a way that makes sense. And just to backtrack a little from where we are like following the film, I think one of the reasons it suffers here as well is that she kills the main two like antagonists in that first encounter, like very easily too. So, I was thinking that Catus Decianus, the Roman governor who, set her on this path of vengeance by, destroying her life, I think is fair to say.
Yeah.
She's just like, oh, I'm going to chop off his head. And like, she does it, pretty easily. And then Kyrian, the Judas figure, the guy who sold out her husband so that the Romans could kill him. And, who didn't see that betrayal coming? Because he looked like literally the most like...
The guy who just like would not make eye contact with anyone.
Yeah. Like, I was like... I was like literally at the beginning, I was like, okay, this guy's obviously bad news.
Yeah, he's
But
just
then,
like muttering under his breath anytime like a king says anything.
I want to kill them all.
Yeah. I would just need like a couple of jerk off motions, like when he's behind
Yeah,
him.
yeah, that's all. That's all that it was missing, right?
Yeah.
But then so like I could see the movie building towards her revenge to one or both of those figures as a climax, and then like maybe as she's about to die, she also sinks the knife into one of them and is like, "Well, I'm dying, but like at least I got the guy who either
Yeah, I settled the
killed my
score.
husband or right." So like I didn't understand why those two scalps were so easy for her to claim, if that makes sense. And I felt like the movie lost a lot of tension because then we just go to like three little battles, or three that are supposed to be big, but three battles that are
Yeah.
no
Because
no
even
stakes, no nothing.
yeah, the movie's kind of at a loose end at this point because yeah, even and I think really budgetary reasons are probably what harmed this movie the most because even London, like trying to pay attention as I remember London being an establishing shot of London, a like a sort of medium crowd shot of the Romans, and then a reverse of the attacking horde of Britons. So 3 shots comprises the entirety of this sacking of London.
Right.
So yeah, just the movie was not able to like keep its end up about what it was trying to portray. And when everything is just like turning to shit in Britain for the Romans, and then it gets back to Rome, like that is even more like expeditious to be generous.
It's also really it's confusing if and like I mean I guess at some point people might have known like the broader history, but it is weird to place the burning of London right next to the Great Fire of Rome and to cut from one to the other immediately because it's like, wait, did Boudica make it all the way to Rome and start burning that? I don't remember that from the Wikipedia entry. And of course it's because they're trying to draw, and again, it makes Boudica like so passive because, and the whole reason that she got flogged by and unseated by the Romans was because Nero made this rule that because I guess he's afraid of being toppled by some kind of goddess figure. So he's like, okay, like no woman anywhere in the empire can hold office or like be important in any way because we're Romans and we are sexist as fuck.
Yeah, it's implied that he makes that decision because of his mom and
Rome invented the no girls allowed rule.
the He-Man Woman Haters Club. Yeah, so passively, Boudica has caused the fall of Rome because Rome starts on fire, which and I like I did in the last episode with Gaius, I will shout out his episode on Tribunate on the Great Fire of Rome, which was
the greatest fire ever, the biggest fire you've ever
episode. Seen. Well, it's just you guys. You did a really good job of describing like the kind of destruction that would have been wrought upon Rome by fire, an era before any significant advances in fire safety. Go check it out. I'll see if I can link it. But
and this, like, by contrast, is basically displayed as exterior. Rome burns.
Yeah,
like that.
And the thing. And like, I don't want to be too nitpicky because I think we've already kind of established that the movie is playing a little fast and loose with history, as it is. But the Great Fire of Rome is in 68. Or no, sorry, 64. Hold on.
Yes, after the
sighting of the Boggy Creek creature,
uprising
right?
against the
because
that's another $10 in the swear jar.
Well, sorry, and the reason I said 68 is because that's when Nero dies, but they have them happening back to back. Like he's at the Great Fire of Rome, and he's seeing it, and it's like, oh, the people are so mad at me, as they're like burning alive, like or whatever, and he's like, And then his
Burning
general's
up
like,
with hate.
well,
Yeah.
yeah, his general's like, well, the war in Europe is not going well, and he's like, this sucks, and then he just slits his own throat. And it's like, okay, well, the Great Fire of Rome, that's 64, and that has 0.0 to do with Boudica. And then, because she's dead in 61, Rome burns in 64, and then Nero, he does kill himself, but that doesn't happen until 68, after, his generals turn against him and the Senate outlaws him, basically.
I
Ouch.
feel like we
So
need
it's
more context, like building up to Nero's downfall. Like why?
Right. Yeah. Like I think if something had been done that was like, man, you're becoming very unpopular because people don't like the way that the war in Britain is going. Like, yeah, just even one scene like that might have made that work,
Right.
from a film perspective, not from a history perspective, obviously. But like, yeah, it was kind of messy, and I was looking at that and I was like, no way, they're not going to attribute the Great Fire of Rome and then Nero's suicide to Boudica, who was like in the ground for 7 years already.
Right.
Yeah, they wanted to bring that actor back who played Nero, but he was like, "I'm sorry, I have this photo shoot booked to play Saint
Yeah.
Sebastian
Yeah.
at 2 p.m. and I can't do another scene." And they're like, "Oh
The,
god
oth-
damn
the
it."
other thing, and like, guys, you're more educated and familiar with this stuff than I am, knowing like the specific dates where you're like, hang on, this is like 7 years off, this is 4 years off. Even like as a rube like myself, watching the scene of Nero killing himself, where like I gloss over all the other stuff like not being accurate. But even when Nero kills himself, like even I have like a basic understanding of what Nero's last words were. And again,
Right.
like just on a basic cinematic level, he doesn't allude to anything like that because he kills
Right.
himself, well, allegedly is like, oh, now the world loses a great artist. But we don't get any of that like vanity in his final
Yeah,
scene.
I think that's a great point, because like I think Nero could have been a good foil to her if he was recognizable as Nero, in a sense of like, oh, here's somebody who's like a clearly bad ruler, who is just a wastrel and a glutton and like a sex
Yeah.
crazed maniac. He's the one who's ruling the greatest empire. But isn't that wrong? Because this really great meritocratic system, and she's, like she's ruling a small insurgency in Britain. Like,
Yeah.
that's not fair. Like, she should be the one with all the power. I think could have been a good, parallel to make with how stupid monarchy is. But yeah, they don't really do that, because Nero appears in 2 scenes, and in both he's just like, yeah, a lazy twink who doesn't do or say anything. And then
Right.
he just kind of kills himself to be dramatic. I felt like he was just like, oh man, like
Just killed himself for the attention.
yeah, like it was totally an attention to get attention.
Yeah.
And you know what it is? This just struck me. It's like the weird gendering of Xerxes in 300. Like a really, which is an unbelievably reactionary film, which is why it's so popular with chuds. It's the hale and hearty masculine Spartans against the decadent sexual perverts of Persia, which is like whatever.
Listen,
all
well,
right.
the Greek,
And
the
it's-
ancient Greeks were very, traditional straight men. I'm sorry.
Famously,
Sorry.
yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry if that offends, but that's just history.
It's just me and 299 of my buds just being completely ripped, rubbing oil on each other in our loincloths, doing push-ups.
That is the straightest thing you can do as a Spartan.
Right, yeah.
Very, very healthy seeming society, the Spartans too. But anyway, but yeah, like much like Xerxes in 300, like Nero in this one is so obviously
Effete.
just like, he's like this little effeminate twink sitting around in a
Yeah.
loincloth with, his like laurel wreath. And I'm like, okay, this seems like a deliberate choice.
Well, yeah, you seem like when you're introduced to him, he's like he's out of a Calvin Klein ad.
Yeah.
Hair and cheek.
Yeah, like you would expect him to be in Bryan Singer's Rolodex, you know?
I was literally about to make the joke of like, that's not Nero. That's like a slave Nero would buy. Like,
Right.
like
Yeah.
for
Yeah,
like
and it's
to
I
do the
feel
Bryan Singer
like
stuff, like specifically.
yeah. And okay, and I'm going way back to like a really silly example, but do you guys remember the Catwoman movie with Halle Berry?
I
Yeah,
remember that it
unfortunately.
exists.
Yeah, that's
And the
more
and,
than really
Yeah.
unique.
and there's a basketball scene that is funny.
Yes, a very hilarious basketball scene between her and Benjamin Bratt. But the big bad in Catwoman was Sharon Stone as the head of a cosmetics company.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, this is because like when you have like a lady hero, she's got to fight another lady because she's
yeah.
not going to fight
You
a
have a big fight
man
about
and win.
makeup.
And
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, and oh, and that's another thing. The because not only do we have like a like a really like this weirdly soft Nero as like as Boudica's like opposition. There's even a makeup scene early in the movie where she's shown receiving like I guess like Roman Britain Ulta service is like, oh, and there's a lady there putting cosmetics on her and like explain like, oh, and this is really good for your skin
Yeah, it's a
because
good
blah blah blah.
foundation.
And I was like, they literally put in a makeup scene because it's it's a movie about a lady warrior.
This is what women do, I guess. I don't know. My wife doesn't talk to me. We sleep in
I
separate
think
bedrooms.
I think
And mind you, it adds nothing to the story or the characters.
I think the effort may have been to be like makeup versus war paint, in a sense, like she's trading in the glamorous, here's what her face looks like when she's trying to impress Roman men. Here's what it looks like when she's trying to kill Roman men. I don't know. I think that might have been, maybe I'm giving the filmmaker too much credit, but that could have been something he was hinting at. But you're right, it wasn't done well enough to like make you draw the connection. The only reason I thought about the makeup as much as I did is because it's like, wow, I hope the lead in that is doing good work for her skin, because that was something they would do. The powder like had incredibly toxic levels of lead in it. So,
That's true. And there is a reason why cosmetics are so strictly regulated, or they became strictly regulated in the early part of the 20th century, because people were like, ooh, radium, that's fun. It
should
glows. But
take
that's
that.
Yeah.
that's a whole other topic. Yeah. Hey, like I better apply it to my entire body.
Yeah.
There's no way this could go wrong.
But yeah, like guys, like you are putting way more effort into, I think, the themes in this movie than the filmmakers did themselves. Because even your point earlier about the contrast of Boudica versus Nero, where it's like, hey, like hard fought meritocracy versus just like a disinterested supreme leader. You think maybe these are incompatible systems of governance. I don't think, like, watching the movie, that didn't even occur to me. Like, that was so like removed from the events that I didn't even think of that watching it, only to have you spell it out and be like, oh yeah, that would have been a good thing to have in the movie.
Yeah, I think the things I'm saying is things I would have said. Maybe do that. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe do that.
Maybe that would be good.
Yeah, because as the film it presents this like weirdly gendered, like kind of condescending portrait of Boudica. That's the other thing I wanted to ask you, Gaius, because my understanding, and I've laid eyes upon the statue in London, which makes an appearance in this movie. And it almost seems like an afterthought. It's like, oh yeah, here's the engraving at the bottom of the Boudica statue in London.
Here's the gravitas that these events we depicted were not able to convey.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Tilt up to show Boudica and her daughters. Damn, really makes you think. And so my understanding is that Boudica was like a pretty minor figure in history until like,
Horrible histories.
kind of like around the time when Britain started feeling itself and they were preparing to have an empire, and suddenly Boudica became this symbol of kind of like British scrappiness in the face of whatever. Is that the case?
The kind of revolt that she leads is not uncommon, we'll say. Within the first generation, these things happen all over areas that Rome has conquered. Um, and it was, if you look at the size of the armies that are engaged in the fights, like it's not on an epic scale of, I threw out the numbers like 60,000 versus 80,000 earlier because I was just talking out of my ass. Like, no, this would have been 10,000 versus 6,000 or, much smaller. Like Rome devotes like one legion to mopping this up. Like it's, I'm not saying like, she wasn't brave or whatever. And like, I'm not saying she should have won. I wish she had, but like, it was not a totally unique story. And it was not like of the epic scale that kind of has been thrust upon it. I would totally agree with that. But then like she becomes a symbol of like, oh, well, we didn't just lie down and become Romans. We revolted once and then we're Romans for 500 years. And then they left because our islands, like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it seems like that was ultimately like more effective than any of the rebellions. Was just the Romans being stretched too thin and being like, "This place sucks. Why did we even conquer this place?"
I mean, well, that's why they left. But yeah, like,
I mean, I watched Carry on Cleo, so I know about historical Romans in Britain.
I mean, and it would probably make like an English person furious to hear this, but it's like if you want to look for like the effective resistance to the Romans, like look up north to Scotland, in Centurion, the movie we watched earlier, like they never conquered Scotland, and there's a reason for that. I mean, granted that was also
the British won't like that though. That'd piss them off.
They're also severely diminishing returns to like conquering that, which was certainly part of the equation. But hey, they didn't do it. So. But yeah, like it's an interesting.
It's a hard country.
It's an interesting like phenomenon that kind of replicates itself across the Roman world. Is that within the first generation, as people kind of come to grips with like, oh, we've been conquered, like we're a subject people now. There is a revolt in every single like, locality, should we say? Like, every single constituent group does something like this at once. But then after the first generation, after, the diehards, I guess, are put down in that rebellion, usually people make their peace and they decide to collaborate. And then really, like, it's actually kind of funny. The only place that continues to have strife and where you get rebellions, decades, centuries later is in Judea with the Jews. And that was because the religious differences were so like pronounced that they couldn't see eye to eye, so they revolted. They had 3 like great revolts and then like a lot of like little ones as well, so like they were the ones who really were like, this is not cool. But of course they lost too, because everybody lost to the Romans back then. But they were like, if you're looking for your freedom fighters, those are your most committed, I would say.
Fucking Romans, man. And it's true that the Jews have caught a world of shit through the centuries, so can't really blame them in that case. Yeah, like that, and you kind of bring us to the main problem that I have with this movie, because watching it, I didn't have the same experience as Tim. I think Tim said that he tried like 4 times to get through it, which fair. It's not very good. I watched it all the way through, and at first I was like, okay, like, this is corny. It's fairly low budget schlock. I'm sure that this isn't really historically accurate, but okay, like, they give Boudica a character, and there are stakes, and there's tragedy and something to overcome. But as soon as the rebellion gets rolling and we've burned some Roman cities, and you're kind of bracing for this anyway, because if you know the story of Boudica, you know that it was a insurgency that failed. So you're like, okay,
Yeah, there aren't like any towns named after her.
exactly. Like you're like, okay, like how is this going to play out? Because it's going to be sad, obviously. Like it would be cool to see them completely like turn back the Romans the way that the blue people win at the end of the first Avatar movie. I haven't seen the other two. But the way that it plays out just ends up like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because you get your climactic battle, which is, as Wolfgar told Boudica and the audience, like, this is a bad idea. Like, you're going to get crushed by the Romans. But she decides to do it anyway because she's crazy, and probably ragging.
Yeah, and gradually you see like each of the like familiar characters just get like prison shanked by these
Yeah.
Romans.
Yes, because and Wolfgar does come back to help her, which is like, okay, like that's sweet and all, but it doesn't make any sense because he said like, look,
Yeah, you're gonna
this
get
is
cut
dumb.
down.
I'm gonna go hole up for the winter and rest. Like I'm not even mad. I'm just telling you, this is for your own good. But he comes back because she's just so awesome. And I'm like, oh come on.
She got high in her
okay.
own supply.
So, but really, the reason that we have this scene is so we can kill off the main characters one by one in a way that you normally see death being dealt out to the hated big bad and henchmen of a film. Like Boudica taking a giant arrow to the chest and flying 30 feet is not a noble death. It's more hilarious than anything. It's like, oh, damn, I guess it really was a bad idea.
I did almost laugh when that happened because it was so like, woof, okay. Like,
yeah, it's inappropriate for what the movie's trying to tell you.
Yeah, it does not it does not endear her.
Yeah.
It doesn't like, because that's what I was saying earlier of like, had it been a noble sacrifice where she's like, oh, they're really after me, so like I'll go this way and lead them all and I'll die, but like my entire army and my people will escape, or I'm gonna kill the one guy who betrayed me at the beginning and that will be like my vengeance in death. But no, she's just like, oh, there's a ballista with an arrow the size of a pool cue on it. I'll charge that. Oh dear. Oh dear.
All right, boys, my face
so
red. I got to apologize to Wolfgar in Valhalla. Yeah.
Yeah, so she gets like this like Wile E. Coyote style death, or like what's leading up to her death. And then they do the thing which actually kind of makes more sense, is they have her completely surrounded by Romans. She's severely wounded. She can barely pull herself up, but she's still gonna fight. And then they just like hogpile her.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, like why not just do that? Because it shows her like fighting against completely insurmountable odds, but courageously. But no, it's stupid. And then they even have the thing where, oh my god, and Wolfgar deserved better because he was
like a career soldier. He knew what he was doing.
Good for Boudica.
He wasn't on a crusade.
Yeah. So he does the dumbest thing. Yeah, he does the dumbest thing possible, which is just like stand up in the middle of the battle and say, Boudica, I gotta hand it to you. You're always gonna be my queen, dude. And then he just gets absolutely obliterated.
Oh yeah, like it's sometimes in movies like this, like as soon as you get like a tight shot on somebody where you can like only see the upper half of their body, it's like, oh, you're toast. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you just know, like, because you've seen it happen a million times where it's like, okay, the camera's gonna pan out like a quarter of an inch, and oh, that's right, 6 Romans are behind you, and now you have a lot more holes than you did a second ago. Like
damn my lack of peripheral vision.
He looks right at the camera and he's like, I love you. Oh man.
He's right behind me, isn't he?
Yeah.
It's like that one shot in a much more effective film, Saving Private Ryan. There's a shot in the big battle up front where one soldier like takes a shot to the head that bounces off his helmet. And in astonishment, he takes off his helmet and looks at it, only to catch another shot to the head. Now, in Saving Private Ryan, that's showing the absolute absurdity of war and like kind of like the frailty of man in the face of like these like just
Right.
titanic forces. It's like, oh damn, like that was stupid, dude, but my heart
Yep.
hurts for you. Like, you know, the little guy.
Because you're like, I probably would have done the same thing.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a moment of like it's a very human moment in amidst all this carnage. In this movie, when your main characters all die, you're like, for Christ's sake, come on. Like, I could just hear my dad, like, raging at the TV screen.
Right.
Again, rest in peace, Dad, but this would have pissed him off, and I don't think he would have been wrong.
Well, your dad did try to repel Rome from Britain, so I mean, fair point. R.I.P.
This one's for you, Dad. I know I would have enjoyed making fun of this movie with you.
When Jen had brought this to my attention, I noticed that on Tubi I did have a Boudica movie in my list, whatever my stuff. It was a different Boudica movie, so there are actually two of them.
Two of them.
Yeah, and I think the other one looked relatively recent too, which is why like I specified because I would hate to put you guys through like, oh, you've watched the wrong Boudica slop.
Right?
Watch
Yeah.
another one.
My bad. No, the other Boudica movie.
Yeah, I did check very carefully, and my lodestar in this case was the presence of Olga Kurylenko. I was like, okay,
Like,
if
that's
that's
gotta be the one.
if it has her in it,
Well, I did
That's
my
the
due
one,
diligence, and
yeah.
I did watch the other one, and it's a much better told movie.
No way, really?
Yeah, for real. And I mean, maybe like, relatively, it was just that like watching Queen of War, where I'm just like, this dog, and then the other one, I'm like, oh, I was mildly entertained. Congratulations. Because it takes like all of the themes of the movie. It's not even about like the actual like Boudica stuff, because it is called like Rise of a Warrior Queen or whatever. It all takes place. It is all of the antecedents, but like all the themes are there, like, about like what her, what kind of pushes her into this decision, because it is basically like her and her mother are like hiding out in the forest. It's like, because she's supposed to have an arranged marriage, and like her mom like kind of spirits her away to hide, and they meet a guy, but like, and it's surprisingly well told for a movie that seems like they couldn't get the rights to the Boudica story.
The Boudica estate was
Yeah.
They're very tight-fisted about it. But yeah, it was weird because like it was actually like so much better told, so that by the end of it I'm like, yeah, you kick his ass, Boudica. And it's just like some, just kind of like, who's just been kind of the simpering girl for like most of the movie, just has like some character growth, and I'm like, wow, this is much better. I wish we'd talked about that one.
Well, Gaius, you're gonna have to come back.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, there's got to be a thread. The thread in this one was that it was also Olga Kurylenko killing Romans, and then the next one will be like, oh, that's also Boudica. But did you notice one of the things I thought was kind of interesting is if you looked at the credits for a bunch of the people in this movie were in that Vikings show on the History Channel.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Did you see that?
No, I remember when it
I
came
haven't.
out, but I haven't seen it.
Well, like Wolf. So it's Wolfgar, Prostagoras, and her like the blonde woman who helps her. I forget her name, but like I don't think she even
Yeah.
gets a name. But like the other tribal woman, her like
Yeah.
her right hand woman, they were all in that show Vikings, and I was like, okay, they clearly just were like, we're gonna do the same thing. You know what I mean? Like, you got swords, you're killing people. You have a couple months off from filming Vikings. Do you want to do the same thing? Like,
Yeah. You're already here. We
for
got
extra-
some money. Yeah.
for an extra $20.
Ooh, the theme song to that show is by Fever Ray.
Oh.
That's cool.
Oh, no
That's
way!
Kind of
Yeah.
makes sense.
Nice get.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She's like Norwegian or something, right? Like
I think so.
she's from that area. That Viking
Yeah, because it's
area.
the Viking area.
Yeah, like
Yeah, because
it's
the two of them were the knife. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Knife. Yeah, that's right. Another
Yeah.
really sick band. Tim introduced me to the knife, actually.
Yeah.
I'm actually like scanning the Vikings credits to see if Jesse V. Johnson had any association with that show, but I think it's just a case of like, I don't know, maybe he, like, someone sent him a screener and he was like, "Hey, I'm casting my Boudica movie."
You look, yeah, you look great with mud all over you. Do you want to put mud on? Do you want to also wear mud in this movie?
Did okay, well, I have to ask, did the ancient Britons actually just constantly cover themselves in mud? Not in a Monty Python and the Holy Grail kind of way, but
They
in a Boudica kind of way.
like the Celtic cultures that she would have been a part of. Like, yes, war paint was common.
Okay.
And actually there was like stories about them, you know, not in Britain, but in their first encounters, because like we can kind of forget how broad that culture was. Like, it was basically from northern Italy to the UK, Ireland, Spain, France.
Wow.
It was involved in like this Celtic culture. And like during their first encounters with the Romans, they were like, "Oh, well, it's very honorable to fight without armor." And then it's like, "Oh, you don't feel the same way? Oh shit!" Like,
You took
like,
paint
you know,
to
'cause,
a,
like,
yeah, to a knife fight.
yeah, like, well, that was a thing that they learned quick. We'll give them that, but like in their initial encounters, we're like, well, you know, hey, like in our culture, the bravest, most skilled swordsmen, you know, they trust the gods, and they trust their ability with the sword to protect them, and they don't use armor. And then it's like, oh, well, you do? Shit. Well, okay. Never mind.
All right, I'm gonna go back and talk to the gods a little bit.
Oh,
back to the drawing board on that one.
That's one more thing that I want to touch on before we wrap up, because I mentioned it earlier, but we hadn't gone to it yet. Boudica's magic sword.
You can tell it's
Yes.
magic because it makes a noise,
Which is,
like whenever it's on screen.
yeah.
Right.
Didn't you just love that? That just like little like singing tone that they played every time she held the sword. It's like, that's magic.
Well, I mean, it was produced by Haim Saban, so like it's got that Power Rangers DNA in it,
Oh,
That's a
yes.
really good
They were
point.
thinking of merchandising opportunities.
right? Yeah.
Well, good luck with that, guys. But so and a point of contention in the movie is that Boudica has been gifted this sword, which came from her family, I think her father, and it is bronze, which is considered at that time, very modern times, indeed, these 60s, an inferior metal, because everyone's like, "Nah, dude, you gotta fuck with iron if you want to accomplish anything."
Yeah. Don't be doing
What's
quaaludes,
their-
like, you know, like speed. That's the new thing.
was that genuinely the case? I mean, like, where was the cutoff point for bronze armaments versus iron?
I think they mentioned it had been like, it's weird because it's weird. Her husband gives it to her, and he's like, "Oh, this is from your dad," but he clearly never told you about it, right? Like, it's been in your family for like thousands of years, but like, anyway, here it is. Like, I thought that was kind of weird because it would have had to have been super
Lake
old.
in the Lake gave it to me.
Yeah, it would have had to have been super old because I don't. I think that, like, I mean, I know my Bronze Age dates and I know my Iron Age dates, but I don't know when, like, the exact. Because I would say give it like it's antiquated by at least 300 to 400 years. I would say by the start of this movie, that
right
in Britain they would have been fucking with iron, like, you know, and that. So yeah, because I mean, Wolfgar's right. He is kind of a dick about it, but like he is right that it's like this is a relic. You know, it would be like a modern soldier being like, "Oh, this is my grandpappy's musket. I'm gonna go to Fallujah with it." You know, like. So like, yeah, it's he's right, but he was also kind of a dick because he's like, "I'm just gonna break it," you know, and it's like. Wolfgar, that's
no
that's
enemies to lovers. That's what we got to do with this.
That's not how you impress a girl. You don't impress a girl by destroying her family heirlooms. I learned that. the hard way.
The hard
But,
way.
like,
He's been listening to too many proto-incel podcasts.
yeah,
Been reading too many.
That was when podcasts
incel
were just a
scrolls.
guy yelling at you.
it's
Yeah.
the scrolls. Yeah, it's not his fault. It's literally the only scroll on the island. He's just like, what do you guys want to read? Well, it's like we have one book in the
Yeah.
entire island.
He
Oh,
becomes
by the way,
scroll
none of
filled
us
at that
can
point.
read.
Because I remember, like, one of the factoids I remember from my history classes is that, like, bronze was like the hot new thing, but then it just kind of became like a show off metal that actually didn't end up being as effective, and that's why people abandoned it. They're like, it looks neat, but like, nah, this iron stuff really does the job.
Yeah, and I'm sure that, and you know, I'm fairly sure that there might have, I don't know, maybe, well, I don't know. I can't say. I'm not a historian, thus I do not have any kind of historical knowledge about this sort of thing. But, you know, I don't know, maybe some bronze weapons would have, like, hung around. But I feel like the first time you crossed swords with somebody who was wielding iron, you would have been convinced of the inferiority of bronze very quickly.
Yeah,
Like-
yeah. I think it's from what I understand, it wouldn't have like shattered then and there, but like, you know, it would have, you know, the shelf life of a bronze weapon was lower than one of an iron weapon, and that was when it was encountering other bronze weapons, right? So like,
Right.
you know, you come back from your first battle, you know, if you're fighting the Romans and you've got a bronze sword and they're using iron, and it's like, okay, well, this is just a nub now, right? Like,
Yeah.
and that was another thing that I guess we talked about her doing like miracles with the sword, but that was another thing in the movie is that it cuts well, like, and she even says, I think at some point she's like, oh, well, it responds to who wields it or something of that nature.
Mhm.
And I was like, and so it's like another magical, like, because it's kind of a lightsaber, like she is cleaving right through shields with that, right? Like,
Yeah.
so again, that's like a third miracle you could say that is just kind of unaddressed and and okay, I'm gonna nitpick, I'm sorry, but in the
Please
historical
do.
record she has a spear, so I don't know why they gave her a sword, because it's like, if you didn't know what her weapon was, maybe okay, swords are cool, right? But it's
Yeah.
like, we know she had a spear, like they talk about it. So
Of all the other things you
that-
can play fast and loose with, like, there are some facts that you do need to kind of hang your story around.
yeah, like, and it's like, and it's, I would say, if you want a woman fighting a man, it's like, oh, they've got swords, well, she's handy with this spear and she can outrange him, and you know, she doesn't have like a brawn fight, right? Like, she's just quick.
Yeah, she
I
can
don't
get him from before
Yeah.
they can close range.
Yeah. So
Yeah, that would have been cool, but they gave the spear to her nameless blonde lieutenant,
Yeah.
who was cool and badass, and you know, she like cut off a guy's head near the beginning of the film.
Yeah,
That's
certainly
cool.
more effective than Boudica for most of the movie.
Yeah, again, like Boudica is just kind of like she's like just a jellyfish among like ocean currents, just kind of like drawn helplessly along. She will sting you, but
yeah.
passive nonetheless. And yeah, like I think that the symbolism of Boudica's weapon, which, you know, okay, like fine, it's bronze, it wouldn't be able to go up against iron weapons, but it's magical, so it doesn't matter. Okay, fine. And maybe there is a kind of poignancy to Boudica wielding this ancient, like somewhat inadequate weapon, because it sort of represents like the quixotic nature of her rebellion against the Romans, because
Yeah.
we, you know, again, we know the story, like she's not going to come out on top.
Right.
Like the rebellion failed. So Boudica is really more a symbol of resistance in the face of insurmountable odds.
They do at least, like, you know, kind of hang a lampshade on that in the movie, where, you know, the nameless friend says your name and sacrifice is more important than your victory in battle, which I'm sure is comforting. But,
It's also like, you tell me that now.
right, yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's like,
Yeah.
there's a point where Boudica's like, I think I've been set up.
Yeah.
And that's how it comes across, really. It's why like the final battle just ends up leaving you feeling kind of enervated, like, oh well, that was dumb. And then
Right, yeah, this could have been avoided.
yeah, and I know that, and to be fair, the afterlife is presented as like incredibly enticing because it's like, okay, like you basically get to like play in a hay bale with your
Yeah, well, she gets
husband and your two
reunited with her
beautiful
family.
children.
Not the worst thing.
Maybe he'll finally get to fuck her in the afterlife
And,
because he's always getting cock blocked in when he's alive.
and
Sad,
one
really.
quick question I wanted to ask is: did you guys see the Sixth Sense twist with the daughters coming?
I wasn't paying close enough attention. So
I did not.
Because I couldn't tell if it was bad filmmaking or like, because like basically to recap for those who have not had the viewing experience of watching Boudica, Queen of War, after she is
It's free on Tubi, folks.
after she is flogged, she is near on her deathbed, but the her loyal tribes people rescue her and shepherd her out, but we see her escaping, but we don't see the girls escaping. But then like all of a sudden we're told the girls are punished in the same way. We don't see that. But then all of a sudden she's in a recovery room and her daughters are tending to her and they're in perfect health. And we never saw them leave with the tribes, but and then they're not as bloody and bruised as she is. And I was like, okay, that's weird. And then I noticed
this is a really cheap movie.
and then I was just like, no one else is talking to them, and I was like, oh, they're dead, it's like, but then but the thing that made me, then I went back on it again to think they're alive because it was like 45 minutes later you find out they've been dead the whole time, and I was like, oh, surely if they were dead, it would have been like a 10-minute burn, you know what I mean, or something like that. This plot point would have resolved or at least been acknowledged that she's talking to the heir at some point, like, but that never happens. And so I went back on it. I was like, well, I thought they were dead, but maybe they just lost track of who was where in the script.
Yeah, that's as
like
plausible.
45 minutes later, they're like, oh no, your girls are dead. And it's like, okay. So you convinced me and then you unconvinced me. Like,
Yeah, I kind of had a similar experience where I was like caught off guard when Boudica asks Wolfgar, like, do you see my daughters? And he's just like, oh, your daughters look great. They're really well behaved.
Right,
like he's palming her off. And I was like, wait, what? They are dead? Like, okay, that's a weird choice, but okay. And in the original legend or story, Boudica's daughters are raped while she is flogged. And the daughters in this movie are played by very young ladies. They look like about 12 or something.
yeah, that's why I was so worried. Like, I was, because like, I was like, I knew what was happening historically, and I was like, oh, please don't, like, and the movie had already been grisly. I was like, please don't do this.
Yeah.
So I'm glad they did.
Yeah, and I had been looking through the Epstein files that day, so I was like, oh God, no, please, I can't take anymore. But no, we are spared any harm on screen coming to Boudica's daughters. Just like,
yeah, so when they kind of appear and disappear at random, you're like, well, I guess that's just the movie.
yeah. I didn't know if the movie was bad. It was like, is the movie bad or is the movie like inconsistent? Like,
right? Because
both.
when I finally put it together after the movie had stopped and I'd gone on Wikipedia and Internet Movie Database and had it explained to me on Reddit, then I was like, oh, okay, they're dead the whole time. That's actually pretty clever for a movie that does so little.
This is the thing that makes that, like, it's emblematic of the entire movie. In the hands of a more skilled filmmaker, this might have been kind of interesting and poignant. But as it plays out, and the way Boudica is depicted, it just seems like more evidence of her mental instability.
Right. I totally agree, because I think if it had been handled because every time she's like, I've got a divine message, we need to attack, people are like, let's do it. I would have liked it better if it had been like, oh, I'm hearing voices, they're telling me to attack, and then Wolfgar's like, maybe we should follow military strategy instead of your voices.
Right.
But instead everyone's like, nope, voices, love that, let's do it.
Right.
Yeah, like, we're stupid bog people.
Yeah.
We have to do what the gods say.
Yeah. If anyone says that they're speaking with divine like imprint, like we obey that because we don't have critical reasoning. Yeah, exactly.
Well, hey, you saw that sword float, right? I mean,
Yes, but that's the thing that drove me crazy. It's like, is she talking in this continuity? Do the British gods exist, and are they talking to her or not? Ugh, whatever.
yeah, like, and I would say that because
These are all questions to ask before you start shooting, really.
Yeah,
because the movie-
I guess we don't know because the director didn't know.
Right.
yeah, because the movie is kind of so like half-assed and clumsy, it really just plays out like, yes, the sword is magical, and yes, Boudica is crazy, and yes, all of this is a really bad idea. So the sum total of the film, which, as I mentioned earlier, like, at first I was like, this is fine for what it is, but once it resolves, you're like, oh, like, well, that sucks. Like, now I just feel bad.
Yeah, it's like,
it's not
Buddha,
the
you
story of
dummy.
triumph
Yeah.
that they, like, and I was really expecting, because they they end on that shot of the statue in London, this potent symbol of resistance and like the underdog or whatever. Like, I was expecting the movie to have that tone, but it really just makes Boudica look like a dumb woman.
I'm glad you made that point and not me. Just saying.
It's him like restarting it for the fourth time, being like, oh god, the stupid bitch. Fuck.
She's gonna edit you in post to just take one word at a time and make you say that.
Right.
Boudica is a dumb
Yeah.
bitch.
But yeah, that's the way I felt watching it, where I'm just like, she seems like ill-suited to the task, and so
Yeah. And at first it was cool because, like, I did appreciate, like I mentioned early on, that the movie doesn't sexualize her at all, and they're not afraid to take Olga Kurylenko, again, like a very attractive woman, and just make her look like she's going to play in a black metal band. Like, she looks insane. Like, she's gorgeous at the beginning of the movie when she's, like, the queen, but when she goes into warrior mode, like, fuck it. Like, let's paint like half her face black. We're gonna fuck up her grill.
Yeah,
she gets
they
like
give her like a fake
cast off Roman dentures.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. That's a nice detail.
Which makes her look crazy.
I like that.
Yeah, Gaius, did they actually do that back then? Did Romans have like fucked up metal dentures?
They would.
That's so
they,
sick.
They could improvise because you actually you lost your teeth pretty quick because they ate like the bread that they ate was shit. Like because they were just grinding it on stones. It wasn't well ground. So like anyway, it wasn't pretty. Everyone's teeth would have been disgusting. So yes, they improvised on fake teeth. But one thing I wanted to ask y'all really quickly is, because she gets branded in the face. Speaking of her being like ugged up, but I never even saw them brand.
That's a good point.
They kind of shoot around it for the rest of the movie, and maybe it's just like
you see her get it on her cheek. And then it could have been like a cool thing, where she's like, you tried to mark me, but like now this marks me as a leader and like I'm proud of it. And like they even show people carving it on their own face to like show loyalty to her. But like for the rest of the movie, I was like, I don't even know what it is. Like I can't see it.
Yeah.
That's very funny because and while this is low budget schlock, even filmmaking on this level, they'll usually remember to get an insert shot of something key to the story.
Right, yeah.
But they don't here. And you can't say that it's because, and you'll see it in other movies where they don't want to ugly up their female lead too much. So it's like, oh, her face is horribly scarred, but it's like very subtle, or like it's covered by her hair or whatever. I think they did this in Centurion, in fact.
Well, they do cover
like
her branding with her hair a lot of the time. Because, like guys mentioned, like you don't see it most of the time.
Well, that's the thing, because you can't say like, oh, well, they don't want to make Olga Kurylenko look ugly because like for 3/4 of this movie, she looks fucking scary.
Right.
Yeah.
Like she's got metal teeth. Like she doesn't like seem to have eyebrows anymore. Her hair's all wild, and she's usually like,
Yeah.
Going, let's fucking kill some Romans. Oh God, I'm so angry. Like, not a vision of like soft femininity. So why not like show the scar?
Yeah, exactly. Why not lean into it? Because I think I liked that part of it, and I thought because I think that's how, somebody back then would have probably looked when they're getting ready for war. They're not, the tribes people probably not super hygienic. Probably like
No.
Yeah.
I put mud on yesterday. Do I have to take it off today? Like it's like
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Oh my God, you slept in your mud?
yeah, exactly. Like it's like I took a bath last week and I don't really I just didn't want to take my mud off.
Right.
But like so like
If
they
the
would've
gods
looked-
wanted me to bathe, they would make it rain.
Yeah. So like because I liked that, like, seeing that, if you're like a civilized Roman lad who's like shipped off to the edge of the world and you see that running at you and screaming, that would probably be pretty scary. Like I think
I mean,
they
it's
did a
scary,
good
it's
job of,
scary
like,
when they ask me for like money for a coffee or something.
Yeah, those Iceni beggars, man.
They're they're more aggressive than in San Francisco.
They're always trying to clean your horse's windshield.
get away from the chariot wheels.
Right.
That's another sign of this movie's overall cheapness, is that you don't see a lot of horses in it.
Oh,
True.
yeah,
Those
good point,
cost
yeah.
extra.
And
Romans did ride horses.
and to historically nitpick, like chariots were a big part of the war culture of Britain. Prior to the Roman conquest, and that was actually when because Caesar went there in the I guess like over 100 years before this movie would have taken place, and he like made 2 little expeditions but couldn't really conquer it. I guess he had others, he was busy conquering Gaul, and it was kind of just a side quest. But like one of the things that he talks about and like they gave him trouble, he's like, they got chariots and these things are crazy. Like so, and then like there's obviously that famous statue of her in the chariot in London.
Yes.
And so I think it could have been cool to see that more integrated into like her
Repertoire.
how she or like how she prepares for war, as opposed to getting on it once to charge into a army of archers and get peppered with arrows.
Yeah, because if you can like break their line like with a chariot, like trampling some soldiers, like that would be pretty awesome.
But there was only one. It was just her, and she was like, "I'll do this alone." Oh dear. Oh no. That doesn't work.
I would be curious to see the initial drafts of the script, and if there was
You did.
it was
That
a
was the
case
movie.
of touche. That's a good point. Because I was going to say, like, was this a case of like, okay, well, like at this budgetary level, we're gonna have to lower our expectations, so all the horses got to go, or something like that.
Right.
But who knows? You made me realize that it could have been a case of like, I got this script, like we can shoot in 6 weeks. What do you think?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like,
well, they're gonna shoot the
It's
next
fine.
season of Vikings. This is all the time we got. Like, okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think you're right, and I think I would theorize that a lot got cut, like, just in post, because things just don't vibe. But a valiant effort is my verdict, and like I'll never criticize somebody for trying, and I think they did try. I don't think it was just it obviously wasn't just like a naked cash grab. Like they tried, and there was some intent behind it, but like, overall not a great movie. But if you're like a weird Roman freak like me, it's you can enjoy it.
So the movie does continue on in the spirit of Boudica by being a noble failure.
Yes.
Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, you can show your support by going to patreon.com/haveyouseenthis and make a pledge at the $2 or $5 tier. $5 a month gets the latest episode before everyone else, plus access to our Discord where we're always arguing about movies. If you'd like to give us a tip, our Ko-Fi link is in the show notes.
I want to say one thing, though, really quickly. There is one thing historically that the movie it gets 100% right.
Hmm?
The British are revolting.
God damn it. I was going to say we never
you.
see anyone bathe, but